Bihar Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gaur Premanande Jayam Vishnupad Paramams Parirajakara Stotra Shata Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Charanavindesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramams Parirajakara Stotra Shata Srimad Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande All glories assemble devotees All glories assemble devotees All glories Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naishraki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, General History, Chapter 3, Liberation from Illusional Energy, text number 4. 11 to 13. So, the text number 18. 18, it is 18, it is there, 18. 18, 18, 13. Yes. Okay. Okay. Vyuhana Hridata Gandhabhu Salyatvaka Kalpate Shalilam Tad Dhrita Rasam Jyotirtva Kalpate Vayunha hrida gandha bhurtu Shalilatvaya kalpate Shalilam tadhrita rasam Jyotisvata upakalpate Vayuna hrida gandha bhuhu Shalilatvaya kalpate Shalilam tadadhrita rasam Jyotishvataya kalpate Vayuna hrida gandha bhuhu Shalilatvaya kalpate Shalilam tadhrita rasam Jyotitvaya upakalpate. Please chant. Vayuna hrida gandha bhuhu Shalilatvaya kalpate Shalilam tadhrita rasam Jyotisvatva upakalpate. Okay. Want to chant? Okay. So, translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. What word meaning? Vayunam, by the wind. Hrita, deprived. Gandha, of its quality of aroma. Bhuhum, the element earth. Shalilatva kalpate, becomes water. Shalilam, water. Tad, by that, the same element wind. Hritarasam, deprived of its quality of taste. Jyotisvata upakalpate, becomes fire. Translation: deprived of its quality of aroma by the wind, the element earth is transformed into water, and the water deprived of its taste by the same wind is merged into fire. Purport: Srimad Bhagavatam gives several description of the material creation, by which air is expanded from ether, fire from air, water from fire, and earth from water. Now, in this reverse order, the creation is wound up. Thus, the earth merges back into the water from which it came, and similarly merges into fire. Text 14. Fire deprived of its form by darkness, dissolved into the element air. When air loses its quality of touch by influence of space, and the air merges into that space. When the space deprived of its tangible quality by the Supreme Soul, in the form of time, space merge into the false ego in the mode of ignorance. Text 15. My dear King, the material senses and the intelligence merge into the false ego in the mode of passion, and from which they arose, and the mind along with the demigods merge into the false ego, the mode of goodness. And then the total false ego, along with all its qualities, merge into the Mahat Tattva. Check text 16. I have now described Maya, the illusory energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This illusionary potency consists of three modes of material nature empowered by the Lord for the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material universe. Now, what more do you wish to hear? King Nimi had expressed to the Navayogendra purport. King Nimi has expressed to the Navayogendra his fear of illusionary potency of the Lord and had requested a detailed explanation of Maya so that he could avoid becoming a victim of her at her hands. Now, Sri Antariksha, having described the illusionary potency, suggested that the king inquire about the means to become totally free of Maya's influence. Now, awaiting for the king to ask such a question, Sri Antariksha himself suggested, now that you have heard about Maya's influence, you should inquire about the process of becoming free of such influence. According to Sridhar Swami, that is the significance of Antariksha's questions. Kim bhuva shrutam ischasi. What more do you wish to hear? Purport continues. The following is the summary of the Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's explanation of the process of annihilation described in the various verses. Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the presiding deity of a consciousness which becomes manifest within the Mahat Tattva. By further transformations of Mahat Tattva, threefold false ego appears as follows. One is from Vaikartika, false ego in the mode of goodness appears in the 11th sense, the mind whose presiding deity is Aniruddha. From Tejasva, false ego in the mode of passion, comes intelligence whose presiding deity is Pradyumna, the five working senses and the five knowledge acquiring senses with the various presiding deities. From the false ego in the mode of ignorance arises the subtle form of the sound, and from the sound Shabda, all the material elements gradually becomes manifested, beginning with the either of the sense of hearing. The presiding deity of these three divisions of false ego, Shankarshana. This description is taken from the chapter 26 of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 21, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, and 35. The Supreme Personality of Godhead's external potency, Maya, causes the birth, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. She is dark-colored, tricolored, red, white, and black. In her red feature, the material nature is created. In white, it endures, and in the blacks, it is annihilated. The Mahat Tattva arises from Maya, and from which Mahat Tattva comes the three varieties of false ego mentioned above. At the time of annihilation, the five great elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether, merge into the false ego, into the mode of ignorance, from which they were originally generated. And the ten senses, the intelligence merges into the false ego in the passion, and the mind, along with the demigods, merges into the false ego in the mode of goodness, which then merges into the Mahat Tattva, which further takes the shelter of Prakriti or unmanifested Pradhan. Okay. As described, each of the gross element which wounded up then distinguish quality is removed. The element then merges into the previous element. This can be understood as follows. In space or ether, there is a quality of a sound. In the air, there is a quality of a sound and touch. In fire, there is a sound, touch, and form. In water, there is a sound, touch, form, and taste. And in the earth, there is sound, touch, form, taste, and aroma. Therefore, from the ether down to the earth, each element is distinguished by the addition of its own unique quality called guna vesham. When the quality is removed, the element becomes non different from its previous element and thus merges into it. For example, when the great wind takes aroma away from the earth contains only sound, touch, form, and taste, and thus becomes non different from water into which it merges. Similarly, when the water loses its rasa or taste, it contains only sound, touch, form, and thus becoming non different from the fire, which also contains those three qualities. So the wind takes away the aroma to merge in earth into the water, and it takes away the taste of the merged water into fire. Then, when the universe darkness removes from the fire and the fire removes into the air, space then removes the sense of touch from air and the air merges into the space. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the time element, removes sound form of space, and the space then merges into the false ego. In the mode of ignorance from which it arises. Finally, false ego merges into Mahat Tattva, which is merged into the unmanifested Pradhana, and thus the universe is annihilated. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashlakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manavustam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadāmayam Dādati Sapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Tapadakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagridatam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saganadita Sri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is very, very technical to understand the creation and how one after another is subtle and one after another creates the energy or manifest in this material world. It is explained in very detail. So when we understand this, how the creation takes place, how annihilation takes place, and how these are all elements merge into each one itself, like earth is going into the fire from the earth, so the reverse order or the air, whatever, straight when how it manifests and how it annihilates. So when you understand this, then you will not take birth in this material world again. It's not my saying, it's Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha tattvadeham punarjanma naiti mamet so Arjuna. So, Janma karma, Lord's birth, activities, and one who knows in tattva, in reality. And what are the activities? The creation is also the activity of the Lord first. So, when you without understanding the creation, we cannot fully appreciate the Lord's form, name, and the pastimes. Of course, there are some things that when you attracted pastimes of the Lord, and you can read it, but at the same time, at least we have to make an endeavor to understand the creation little bit. Because when you don't understand, when you don't read it, then it is not all will be sentimental. Sentiment without philosophy is mental speculation. Correct? So when you don't understand, when you just be sentimental, without philosophy, without knowledge, okay. Philosophy without sentiment is also like doesn't matter. That it's not in a proper understanding. So Srimad Bhagavatam gives a detailed explanation how the creation takes place. Why we have to understand this? Because it's a Lord's pastime. It's a Lord's activity. So here we see that in text 13, air expands from the ether, fire from water, fire from air, water from fire, earth from water. Now, in this reverse order, the creation is wounded up. Thus, the earth merges back into the water from where it came, and similarly merges into the fire. So, you should understand this is a little bit technicality. So, when you read this, then we can understand Mahat Tattva. So, what is Mahat Tattva? From where all the elements are coming from? Just like when in a room, so if you want to put a water, there is a subtle that you can take a bucket and put a water. Or just like if you throw from inside, underneath, the water goes into the room. That is water from the subtle water, subtler than the water is air. Air is already there in the room. Okay. Subtler than the air, sound. Sound is already there in the room. So when you want to put earth, like then we have to put something strong element like bricks and everything. It is not subtler, it is gross. It is gross. So it's okay. Yeah. So what is happening is that here, when each element is getting subtler and subtler, we have to be, the creation takes place. So when the creation takes place, so each point will become subtler. So that is the question which Maharaj Nimi asked. King Nimi asked. So Navayogendras, that fear of illusionary energy. How do we get the fear out of illusionary energy? By knowing that, I don't want to know anything about Maya, that is also Maya. We should have equal knowledge of Maya and Krishna. We should not have only knowledge of Maya. That is also not good. And we should not have only knowledge of Krishna. That is also good. That is also not good. So we should have both things. Why means because when you understand just Krishna without Maya, that is illusionary energy. That is also why, because Maya and Krishna both are acting you know hand to hand, because Maya is Krishna's shadow. One cannot be present without shadow. Correct. So one time Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was giving a class, or he was talking to somebody. Yeah, I think he's giving a class. Somebody said, I saw Krishna in my dream. And Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj asked, did you saw Maya also? Did you see Maya? Then that person said, what Maya? I didn't see anything, I just saw Krishna. Then that is Maya. you know. But at the same time, we should see Krishna and Maya. Because when Vyasadeva was Srimad Bhagavatam, in his dream also, he saw in his meditation both Krishna and Maya together. How Maya is acting energy and how Krishna is acting. So that is the bona fide, that is the genuine, and that is authorized dream. If you see only Krishna, that is Maya. So one should understand this. So why I am saying is that we should also understand the energy and potency of Maya. Srila Prabhupada said, my disciples are not to healthily fearful of Maya. We should also healthily fearful of Maya. So now that Navayogendra is asking, now you have heard about Maya's influence, and you should also inquire the process of becoming free from such influence. So according to Sridhar Swami, this is significant question. So see, Antariksha's question. So what more you want to hear? So now that means that you understood Maya, and also you should understood how to get out of this. We understood Maya, but also we should also know how to get out of this, get rid of this. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj explains that from there are four deities representing Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So each thing is representing the false ego in the mode of goodness, representing presiding deity of Aniruddha, and the false ego in the mode of intelligence is a presiding deity of Pradyumna, which are working senses and various presiding deities. The false ego arises from the sound, subtle form of sound, Shabda, which are the elements becoming manifest and beginning with the earth, ether. So Supreme Personality of Godhead, external potency, Maya, causes the birth of manifest maintenance and destruction of the material world. So Lord does not do this duty. What is He does? He execute through the different deities. He give in charge, and He makes in charge of particular deity, particular demigod. You are in charge of this one. For example, there are three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Though passion is in charge of Lord Brahma, right? And ignorance is in charge of Lord Shiva. And goodness is Lord Vishnu. So when He does the creation, that creation needs little passion. Not only universal creation, but if you want to create something, you should have passion. Passion for learning, passion for doing. If you don't have passion, you don't do it. You just be lying down, sleeping. For going sleep also you should have, ignorance should cover you. Then only you can go to sleep. Otherwise you cannot go to sleep. So these were and goodness to do something like deity worship or chanting or reading. It needs a goodness. So goodness should awaken within you. Then only you can do it. So these three things are required for what to do our activity. That's why it is that Bhagavad Gita prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatvam kartaham iti manyate. Don't think that you are doing everything. These three modes of material nature are also helping us. Okay. If you think I am doing, then that is ego. So we should not have ego that I am the doer. And if you have ego that I am the doer, then what will happen? Then you will be bounding up the reactions. So each mode is required for doing some work. Okay. So for maintenance, destruction, and creation, these are three, like passion, ignorance, and goodness are compared to three different colors. Red, white, and black. The red represent passion, right? And white represent goodness, black represent ignorance. So that's why when you see the lights, when they do party, they always put red light. That should be passion. Sometimes ignorance, passion plus ignorance. And the white, which is daytime, in the morning, that is pure goodness. And that's why some spiritual organization, they recommend, only wearing white clothes, doing peaceful work like yoga, meditation, and we eating also, that they just eat boiled vegetables and they don't eat any spices. Okay, so like that we have each thing differentiated by this time. So when Mahatattva rises from Maya, from which Mahatattva comes three varieties of false ego, as above mentioned. At the time of annihilation, the five great elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether, merges into false ego. Bhumirapina lovayo kammano buddhirevacha. Correct? In the Bhagavad Gita it says. So, these elements are needed to create the energy. But when these elements, like earth, water, fire, air, ether, when it is unmanifested, when Lord glances upon it, then it will act. Then creation starts. So when creation starts, what triggers that? The time. Just like when you want to cook something, simple example, there is a groceries, vegetables and everything in the storeroom or in the freezer. When you want to cook, so you bring all those elements together and put it in one place and start mixing it up. Then the unmanifested thing become manifested. But here creation is also same thing. Everything is exist in the creation, but when it comes and together and mixes it up according to its proportion with the energy which is time of the Lord, then the creation takes place. Otherwise, everything is unmanifested. Just like in the vegetables, cooler there is a vegetable, groceries there is a dal and rice and everything. But when it comes together and mixes it up, and then you can prepare food. It is simple as that. So from which they originally generated 10 senses, mind, ego. So as described above, each gross element wound up when it is distinguished quality is removed. So here in where we do the unmanifest thing into manifest, but we cannot again go back, you know, into the original existence, but it will take time. Just like if you want to construct a building or a house, where do you think the elements coming from? The Mother Earth, nature. So you get the bricks, cement, water, everything, and construct a building. When if you want to destroy, when you want to destruct, what you call destroy the building, or after some many years, the building collapse, then all the elements goes back into the respective places. Just like where earth goes back to the earth, water goes back to the water, air goes back to the other things that goes back to that. Then when the universe darkness removes from the fire, merges into the air, then removes senses of touch from the air, and the air merges into space. The Supreme Personality of Godhead as a time element removes from the sound, from space, and merges into the false ego. Okay, so these are all the things which is happening. What is doing here? It is that the things which are controlled by the Supreme Lord and how He can control over it. It is exhibited here. We are not the controller. The greatest of the scientists, he cannot manifest water in his laboratory. Correct? He cannot manifest air in his laboratory. He can say what all the elements are involved in the water. So that's the reason that we have to understand this. Though it is a little bit technical, and though it is, we have to get understanding of this nature, then we can appreciate the Lord, His energy. Just like when you want to meet a big person, like a VIP, VVIP, you cannot just go to him meet in a bedroom. Correct? First of all, you get to expose his mansion, and before mansion, you get to expose his what is called opulent, like how big it is the mansion, how big it is a gate. Like when you get an entrance, you get to expose his, such a big golden gate. There are so many guards are standing. And then you see when your car enters, in the gate, you see a big garden there, and with nice flowers, roses, or nice road towards his palace mansion. As soon as you get down the car, you see this huge palace, and you're stunned by that. When you get into their first room or a lobby, you see the nice paintings, decorations, everything. And when you get into the main hall, you see the paintings, all the varieties of the couch and the seating arrangements, and all the things that you get exposed to, correct? Then the person comes. When the person comes, before that there are security guys, or the person, their servants. Then you see finally the person. Correct? So these are all compared to the opulence. Similarly, the Lord is, you cannot go just have a friendship with Him directly. Unless until you are a pure devotee, that then otherwise you got to understand His opulence. That's why these 6 opulence, Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Veerasya, Yatasya, Uh, then you understand his opulences, then you understand who is the supreme, who I am meeting. Otherwise, you will take a cheap. You know, you don't understand. Okay, he's just a cowhead boy. Just otherwise, even great personalities bewildered sometimes. Even Lord Brahma got bewildered. How come this? He's claiming himself as a god. He's eating somebody's juta. I mean, somebody's what do you call it? Tasted food. You know, uh, contaminated food, remnants. Somebody's remnant, and he's having a yogurt rice in his hand and pickle. And how that such a great person is a supreme personality of Godhead. That's why he get bewildered. He could understand that he's an ordinary person. Then he could not understand what is that. Then he stole all his cowhead boy friends and calves. Then he realizes, oh, he's a supreme Lord. You know that at that point of time, then he realizes, oh Krishna, that is your energy is so powerful, illusion energy is so powerful that even if it bewilders me. This is your mistake. How can a person do this? Imagine a person or a high caliber person doing some ordinary thing, wearing ordinary clothes. If a rich billionaire and he disguised himself as a homeless and comes and talks to you, means you can you figure it out? He's a billionaire? No. He's coming walking and his clothes are torn and his hair is mesh and he doesn't smell good. Then immediately we will say them stand aside. So in the same way, here of course Krishna doesn't look like homeless. And it's for ordinary cowherd person, how can he become a supreme lord? So Brahma got also illusion energy was attacked. So in these great modes, and you understand that it is covers the supreme potency. So even the Brahma couldn't understand. Then he prayed, then he could got the knowledge. So what I am saying, why I am discussing is that the great man's first he should understand his greatness, then his sweetness. So Lord, people in this world, we know only their greatness. They may be not sweet, they may be not compassion, they may be not very kind enough. Here the Lord is how great and also how sweet. Such a great person, he has agreed to become a chariot driver to Arjuna. If I ask, is anybody ready to here, become my driver? Nobody will say, no, I want to become driver. Okay. So, thank you for that. So, similarly, so that's even great billionaire, the drivers will be paid, correct? But Supreme Lord is a unpaid driver, free driver. He had as agreed. And so that is his sweetness. First you understand the greatness of the Lord, then you understand the sweetness of the Lord. You just try to understand sweetness of the Lord, maybe you may understand, but you may not appreciate. So that's why I'm given an example of a millionaire. If he has a big mansion, and first you get exposed of his opulent, then you can ask, when you get it introduced by him, when you go into the hall meeting, and then you get introduced by him, then you talk sometime, then you meet often, regularly, then you can have his number, or then he will be pleased. Otherwise, in the first introduction, can I have your number? Can I go to your bedroom? No. So bedroom is like Ras Leela. You cannot enter the Ras Leela just like that. Pastimes. So first you get understand of greatness of the Lord, then you understand sweetness of the Lord. So here this is the greatness of the Lord. One of the thing is that the creation. Okay. So I'll stop here. Anything discussion.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your class. There was one question that we were discussing internally yesterday. It is a different topic. Is it okay if we can ask?
We can see what it is connected to this. We'll see.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you had a question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, we can still answer.
Oh,
Prabhu, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had Grihastha disciples,
Yes.
right?
He
So,
has sannyasi disciples.
Sannyasis and so when the 64 rounds he asked his disciples to chant. So we were just trying to understand how Grihastha disciples would be able to do it. Like 8 hours they work, then 8 hours they chant, then when they like sleep and other activities, at like how do they manage something like this? That's what we wanted to.
This is a very, it is very, this question is sometimes ago, like Srila Prabhupada also told, when he was introduced, he told 64 rounds. Okay. Then everybody got up, then 32 rounds, then everybody got up, then 16 rounds. That is the normal, then we cannot go down. I know there is one devotee and her mother, when she was connected with the Gaudiya Mutt, she took initiation. She used to chant 64 rounds, being a householder, wife, taking care of children, 2 children, family. When there is a will, Krishna has got the way. She's not a working woman, but at the same time she is working in family as taking care of household duties, taking care of husband, everything. So there are people that till today chant 64 rounds. It's possible there because like initially when you begin bhakti, when you chanting, we were not asked to chant 16 rounds, correct? We were asked to chant 4 rounds or 2 rounds. Gradually you increase to 16 rounds, and 16 rounds also is a minimum. It's not like okay, after 16 rounds you should not chant. You can chant on Ekadasi, you should chant 25 rounds, on Janmashtami maybe 32 rounds. So the minimum is 16 rounds, and at the same time we can chant more. And to chant more, we have to plan it and also reduce our eating, sleeping, these things. When you reduce these things, you can chant. Even now, I think in Houston or
It might be easier for somebody who is in temple and like he's
not
brahmachari.
necessary. Right, even Nityananda Prabhu, I think, I know, I'm not sure what is his name. It's Nityananda Prabhu. He chants 64 rounds. There are people that they chant 64 rounds. Of course, at this point of time, you and me, for it looks impractical. But if you plan it daily, there are people that they chant 64 rounds in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya or even in ISKCON. The chant, but you should not at the same time imitate. Is that?
Yes, so it's about like mindset.
Yeah. That's the thing that we have to, get increase day to day, like 16 to 17, 18. But at the same time, we should not compromise on the services. And that is also danger. Service and sadhana to go together. We cannot say that, okay, I'm chanting more rounds, I will not do any service. That means you should not eat also. You know, oh, I'm chanting now, I cannot do this service. No, you should chant. That's why 16 rounds and also do service. I'm chanting 64 rounds. So, yeah, 64 rounds good. But what about the service? Who will maintain you?
Because chanting is supposed to give us energy to do more things, right? Like if we, like I cannot say I am chanting and that's why I am not doing this, because chanting is supposed to make service even more.
What is the first, what is the basic? There are many meanings of chanting. What is the basic meaning of chanting? O Radha, O Krishna, please engage me in your service. When they are giving you service, then you are acting, no, 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 not to me. Ask somebody to do service. That means you have become hypocritic. On one hand, you are asking service by chanting more rounds. On other hand, you are saying no. Then where is the question of taste? There is no taste. Mechanical chanting. Okay. Thank you. You had something?
I was trying to, thank you for the class, Prabhu. I was trying to understand, what's being said here about the colors, and
Say about?
about
Color.
the colors and the water, and merging into each other. I have to read over the purport and the text to understand it. But I was just wondering if you could give me a little brief understanding about that.
Yes. So these colors is not that we have created. It's mentioned in Bhagavatam. So people also choose that color. According to your color, your personality is defined. Somebody wears very, attractive, glaring, effulgent colors, to attract the attention of the people. So somebody wears very normal, which is goodness, and somebody wears very, very dark, which is, by the dress you can address them. Address. So these colors are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is we discussed. Okay. Thank you so much. Huh? What? Can you repeat that? Yeah, I don't know exactly. Maybe could be different because I have to refer that. Then we can discuss on that. Okay. Thank you so much. ग्रंथराज भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे।